Is this where your grandparents cut a rug?
For the best soul food in the Mid-South, it's Shop and Save. $14.99 South 3rd, 901-946-4303. Serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And some of the items on their menu consist of catfish, spaghetti, chicken and dressing, turkey wings, meatloaf, fried chicken, cabbage, yams, greens, salmon croquette, and the list goes on. Some of the best soul food you ever taste in the Mid-South, it is Shop and Save. $14.99 South 3rd. Call them again at 901-946-4303. Been in business since 1991. Shop and Save, $14.99 South 3rd, 901-946-4303 for some of the best soul food you'll ever taste.
This is Sergeant Chris Richardson with the Tennessee Highway Patrol. Pedestrian safety is a two-way street. Both drivers and walkers need to do their part to keep roads safe. When you're walking, remember, the drivers may not always see you, so remember to use these tips to continue to walk safely. Wear bright clothes. Always use crosswalks and obey signs. Lights and reflectors should be used. And finally, keep alert and do not walk distracted. This message brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Patrol.
I watch y'all coming here for years because you shot somebody. Now your life is shot. You're going to pick that phone up one day and that girl going to be done dumped you and raise your child with another man. Or maybe your mama or your grandmama dies. Because ain't nothing you can do about it. You got 15 to 20 years, state or fed time. Real talk. Don't lose your head, use your head, man. Gun crime, max time.
It's just a few cocktails at happy hour.
It's just a few cocktails at happy hour.
You really good try.
There aren't any cops around.
I didn't think there were any cops around. I drink and drive all the time.
Sir, you've been in a serious crash. I need you to hang on, okay? Now.
We Tennesseans all have a choice to make in our fight against COVID-19.
I choose to enjoy live music.
I choose to cheer on my team.
I choose to go out.
I choose to stay healthy.
I choose to celebrate with my family.
The choice is simple. Choose to live your life and choose to live responsibly. Face it, masks fight COVID-19.
If you're scheduling a wedding, a funeral, birthday party, appreciation service, or any other special event, then you'll probably need an experienced singer. Rose Prince has been singing in church choirs since the age of 8. Rose has been in very prestigious choirs where she has been selected to sing lead and on praise and worship teams. Rose has also been enrolled in institutional voice lessons. Book a local singer with a wide vocal range and with a voice as beautiful as a rose. Call Rose Prince at 405-468-4953. That's Rose Prince at 405-468-4953 for your special events. And welcome again to another edition of Talk Back Live with Bob and Josh in the evening. There he is on a Sunday evening. And folks, we're glad that you're with us. And hey, I'll tell you what, we have a great show lined up for you today. Hot topics of discussion, news that you can use, local, national, international. And the number to call is 901-213-6020. Again, the number to call is 901-213-6020. And we have a special guest on with us today. And we're going to be talking about a subject of should teens be charged as an adult, and some other things. We'll be talking about the crime in the city as well, and other young, what should we do with young people and that type of thing as far as crime is concerned. And how do you feel about the crime in the Memphis area, and your thought on that as well, along with our special guest. Again, the phone lines will be open at 901-213-6020. And Josh, they can watch us as well on Facebook Live, on other places. Where are we seeing right now?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Bob. Shout out to everybody watching. If you're watching, listening, wherever you may be, checking us out, man, all over our different platforms. You can check us out, first of all, on Facebook, facebook.com, TalkBackLive with Bob and Josh, like our Facebook page. Check us out there. You can also check us out on YouTube, youtube.com. Talk Back Live Network on YouTube. That's our YouTube channel. You can go subscribe there and see whatever we're live, which we're also live there right now. We're also live Twitter at Talk Back Live, one word at Talk Back Live, and also Spreaker, the Spreaker app, audio only app. If you just able to listen audio wise or whatever the case is, you can go to Spreaker and just find our Talk Back Live station on there. And you can find a lot of our podcasts, as well as us live, audio-wise, as there as well. So lots of places you can check us out, and we definitely appreciate all of you that are on those platforms. Plus, all y'all that's still coming in right now, go ahead and hit that like button if you haven't done so already. I see some people starting to do that right now. Stop what you're doing, hit the like button, and it is greatly appreciated as well. Helps it reach more people. And share the video as well, so more people can join in on these conversations that we have each and every time we go live. So, Bob, without any further ado, I see people already getting in on the question there. People coming in with the good evening as well. So let's get it on.
Yeah, let's get it on. And good evening to all of you. Finis, people watching, Jet, and Robert, Lee, Jeff, Frankie, Francis, Gradell, and Sylvester, all of you that are coming on, Greg. Hey, it's good to have you on today. And I tell you what, John, let's get it on, man. We've got some things to talk about here.
Yes, sir. Let's get right into it. No better time than now.
And in the headlines today, we've got well, you know, for the past few weeks, the past few days, we've been talking about crime in the city of Memphis and across the nation, as a matter of fact. Also, and we've been talking about teenagers being participating in crime, and what should we do with them? Well, that's a question that some feel that, you know, they don't know. Well, they feel they're on the side of the teen. Some feel that, hey, crime is crime. It doesn't matter who do it. Well, what do you think? Let's talk about it. Josh, we have our special guest, and we're going to pull up right now.
Yes, sir.
And he is Mr. Parkinson. And we're glad to have him on the show today. And good evening to you, sir.
Hey, good evening, Bob, Bishop. Good evening, Josh. Truly an honor and a privilege to be here tonight on what I feel is going to be an amazing conversation piece.
Yes, sir, indeed. And we're glad to have you on tonight. Man, you know what? I caught you on Facebook and you made your comment about teenagers, should they be charged as an adult, and what should we do with our teenagers today. First of all, let's get into the fact, how do we teach?
And you know, before you ask that question, and I want to get into this particular story, then we can kind of go into the question from there.
Okay. Yeah, let's
because now one thing that kind of opened up this conversation, and happened during the week, right, is the unfortunate story of the pastor that was killed in Whitehaven,
right?
Miss Williams, and it's opened up a huge conversation with that, and now this conversation's been going on, especially in Memphis, you know, when it comes to teenagers and a lot of the violent crimes that have been happening. But this has kind of opened it up even more with the youth, how young they were.
Yeah,
we talk about 2 15-year-olds involved in a murder,
and an 18 or 20-year-old, or something.
As well. But especially the 2 15-year-olds, that's especially young to do something as heinous as this sounds. And I'm going to the story here a little bit because I have some.
Let me say this, and not only that, there's been some other teenagers that have been caught in some crime since that has happened.
Yeah.
So I mean,
and before.
So okay, go ahead. We're gonna talk about this. We have the story. We have a story.
Yeah, that's
okay.
Exactly. So
Finis Parkinson, we're gonna play a story here. And we'll get back with you, and then all the rest of you, if you would take a listen to the story, and then we can go from there and talk about and get your opinions on what should we do with our teenagers. Should we come up with some type of school or some plan, or is it too late? I'll tell you what.
And right before I get to it, because I got two clips. Yeah. In the two different perspectives here, you got the children of the pastor that was killed, and then you have the husband. So we got both videos from both of these here.
Yeah.
And so that's going to kind of open the conversation up. So I'm going to get to these real quick, and then we'll get back and dive right in there.
Okay. So it's very important what the kids had to say about this. And a lot of people controversial about that, and the husband as well, what he had to say. Josh, let me ask this before we get into that. Okay. Was the husband, he's not the father of these kids?
They've been married 8 years.
Okay, so wow, that could make this whole thing a bit bitter.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go into the conversation and the video, and we'll be back after this. Folks, check this out and take a listen to this, and we'll come back on our guests and come back with you as well, and your comments, and the phone lines will be open at 901-213-6020. Take a listen and take a look at this.
Citing the serious nature of the case, District Attorney Amy Wyrick wants to charge 2 15-year-olds accused of killing Pastor Autura Eason-Williams as adults. Speaking on her 31st birthday, the pastor's oldest daughter, Ayanna Hampton, says that it's not what her mother would have wanted.
If I were to say, throw those children under the jail, charge them as adults, give them the death penalty, send them to jail forever, I would not have learned anything from my mother in 31 years.
The family is not asking for leniency. Instead of being charged as adults, they believe the teenagers should go through the juvenile court system. Hampton says she was told there would be more support for the teens in adult court. She believes this case is a chance to change that.
I do not want us to miss the opportunity to envision the improvements that we can make to our juvenile justice system, so that we are not convinced that we have to send children to adult prison for them to suffer the proper consequences that will fit their crime.
Eason-Williams' children believe their mother would have wanted to see the teens turn their lives around.
I believe that she worked with kids the same age as the kids that did this to her. And she taught me grace and love, and she taught me the value of community and helping those kids.
And as far as the 20-year-old who was arrested Tuesday is concerned, the family didn't have much to say.
I don't have any thoughts about an adult being charged as an adult. My primary concern is with children not being charged as adults.
The family also says they appreciate the quick work by the Memphis police in finding the people accused and their mothers to death. In downtown, Marcus Hunter, WREG News, Channel 3.
That's clip number one. Now, I'm going to go to clip number two real quick with the husband of the pastor that was killed. So then we'll get right into it.
Yeah, take a listen to this.
The husband of a Mid-South pastor killed in a carjacking is calling for justice to the fullest extent for two 15-year-old suspects with lengthy criminal records. Hello, I'm Greg Hurst.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Skurlock. Today, the victims' children asked for forgiveness for the suspects. WRG's Shay Simon talked to Pastor Autura Eason-Williams' husband, who feels quite different.
I'm here, living a nightmare.
A nightmare that replays for Darrell Eason-Williams.
She was out there in the yard till a minute later, they came knocking on the door.
Feet away from the living room, Darrell's wife, Pastor Autura Eason-Williams, was shot and killed in broad daylight in her driveway. Wednesday, 20-year-old Edward Rodriguez Tabar was charged in her death, joining two 15-year-olds also charged with first-degree murder.
Me, her sister Gwen, and Trisha, we do not want these three individuals back on the streets. They shouldn't have been on the street anyway.
District Attorney Amy Wyrick has filed a petition to have the teens tried as adults. Eason-Williams says that is what justice looks like for his wife, despite her adult children's plea to have them stay in the juvenile system.
If I were to say, throw those children under the jail, charge them as adults, give them the death penalty, send them to jail forever, I would not have learned anything from my mother in 31 years.
I don't care nothing what the kids said. All of that is null and void. I'm her husband, and what matters to me is that they are prosecuted to the fullest.
A call for justice that Darrell hopes is answered with the law's toughest sentence, so no other family has to experience his pain. In Memphis, Shay Simon, WREG News Channel 3.
And police say they have security video showing the three suspects following the pastor into her driveway before she was shot and killed.
Wow. You know, this makes me think that this was intentional. This was not a mistake. This was not something that, I mean, they did this intentional. They intentionally focused on this lady and followed her to her house and shot her intentionally. They came up to her car, shot her in her car, and jerked her out of her car on that hot pavement. It was hot outside. Laid her body on the pavement on the outside, jumped in her car, took off, and left her for dead right there. Shot her, 7 to 10 times, they tell us?
Yeah.
Man, that's over. Somebody was on the phone with her. I think so, that was another pastor, somebody out of Kentucky.
Yeah, she was on the phone with a fellow pastor while it was going on. So, and they heard the gunshots.
Right, they heard the gunshot. They called the pastor's husband, told him, and he came outside and saw the whole saw his wife laying and covered in blood, and he just passed out. From what we understand. Folks, this is sorry. This is pathetic. This is I don't have words for it. There's no excuse for this type of behavior. I don't care if you're an adult, if you're a teenager, whoever you are. There's no excuse for this. You know, you feel like if they would do this to her, then they would do it to somebody else, don't you think? And, and then the kids were here talking about, well, if they charge him as an adult, then they would not have learned anything from the mother. I mean, come on. Do you really think that the mother would have wanted these people to get off if that was her husband that was shot like that in the driveway, even though you're concerned about young people and you teach them and you're teaching them what to do and what not to do, if this mother's husband, if her husband was shot, let's reverse it.
Yeah.
Do you think she would have did what the kid wanted to do, what the kids say her mother would? I don't think so. People don't understand it, don't realize it until it hits home. Let's go to our guest, Mr. Parkinson.
Yeah, Bob, first of all, let me say to the Eason-Williams family, we still send our prayers, our blessing and condolences, especially to the husband. None of us could know the pain that he's feeling right now. We can't retract the pain that he's feeling. He has every right to feel that. So we want to continue to lift that family in prayer because this is a very tragic event that has happened. Again, another blemish in the mark of Memphis and with the killings that are going on. This was a heinous crime. Absolutely. Now, I don't do a lot of speculation. When we talk about this here and talk about what do we do? Here's the thing for me, Bob and Josh, for those watching. Should these individuals, these teenagers, be charged as adults? Well, I believe they should be charged in accordance to the crime. But here's the thing. We know that statistically right now, more prisons are built based on third grade education. And with our young Black people, Black men, their education, their reading level is definitely below that. And so we're talking about convicting and possibly perpetuating a cycle that even as we charge them as adults and put them in a system, is the system going to rehabilitate them? Now, I kind of stand on the side of Pastor Eason-Williams' daughter, Ayanna, because again, I've been around youth, teaching youth for over 15 years. I've taught from inner city, straight, just busted youth, to upper echelon. And one thing that is just equivocally equal across the board is a lack of guidance. And so when we look at this crime, like you said, Bishop Bob, this was intentional. This wasn't haphazard at all. The fact that they followed her, they had an intent, they had a motive, something on mind. But the real question is, for me, is why? What are these youth missing that they're not getting? What we don't know the dynamics of their background. And by all means, this is not making an excuse. For me, as a Black man, 56 years old, grew up in the city of Chicago, sold drugs, have been in shootouts. Only the grace of God has kept me out of jail. What's missing in our youth right now, especially in the city of Memphis, that they are doing these heinous crimes? And for me, it's like her daughter, Pastor Eason-Williams' daughter, Ayanna, saying, how do we how do we reach our youth? You asked me, you said, what do we do? Well, that is a big round table discussion. Part of it, I think is an issue because one of the young men, if I'm not mistaken, was Hispanic. But a youth is a youth. Hispanic, Black, white,
right?
Whatever it is. So, a friend of mine, pastor, he turned me on to a program called ACEs, and it's called Acute Childhood Adversity. And it's about what happens to our children from birth to 12. And those become contributing factors, whether it's absent fathers, mothers absent, parents on drugs, and all of these other things that add to their life of trauma. We don't know the trauma behind these youth. And of course, out of our feelings and emotions, this is heinous. It was very hurtful, because I hate to see people who serve God, for something to happen like this. And this woman has a very, she was a love pastor. She's done some great work.
Mm-hmm.
But our youth are dying, not just physically, but mentally every day. And this is a show of it.
Okay, so because the youth are dying mentally every day, emotionally, struggling to stay afloat and that type of thing, so just let them go around and kill people, and then save them from jail and rehabilitate every time they shoot and kill somebody, drive in your driveway, shoot and kill somebody, or drive downtown somebody's driveway, kill somebody. Well, these are youth. These are teenagers. We've got to rehabilitate and give them a place in society and train them. They're on the third grade level, reading and education and all of that kind of stuff. Okay, but do we still continue to let this go on? Or else, if we do that, what kind of signal are we sending to the rest of the people that are out there waiting to see what's going to be done with this and waiting to commit more crimes? What are we going to do with the crime cycle that's going on in this community, in this city? And when are we going to do something to put an end to it? Because I'm telling you, if we don't stick with this situation here and charge these people as adults and to the punishment of the crime, then somebody else out there is watching this, and teenagers, and then they're going to ride around and they're going to do the same thing, because they know that, hey, the people of Memphis are very sympathetic. They're soft. The police department's soft, and they want to see these kids get off, and they're going to let us off. Let's go around and just kill a whole bunch of people and do some crazy things and keep committing robberies and burglaries and breaking into people's homes and churches and all these other things that people just want to see teenagers get off. Somebody made in a statement here, say, hey, the teenagers at one point here, they made a statement, said the teenagers are too far gone in society today. Do we now, I'm going to let you respond on what I just said, and maybe some other people on here and can respond as well. Is this a cycle that is lost? And do we just, there's no turning back in this particular cycle of people where we are today with our teens. Maybe we have to, go back, and the people that are raising young kids today, and make sure, that we don't lose that next cycle. Because I'm telling you, if we let these people off, then there's people coming up behind them that are going to see this, and they're going to feel, they're going to follow their path. That's just what I'm just saying. I'm just saying, if anybody agree with what I'm saying or not. And, somebody else, Sylvester said, I don't matter whether the system rehabilitates them or not. They should never see the light of day.
Yeah, and I'm going to read some more of the comments. But
they should never see the light of day.
But go ahead, Mr.
Go ahead, sir.
Well, here's the thing. And again, let me clearly, distinctively say this. We're not talking about these young men getting off at all. They did the crime. A lot of the concerns right now in the public.
Mr. Parkinson, let me say this. From time to time, if I cut you off, I'm not being rude, so I want you to understand that.
Go right ahead, sir. You good.
This is just the way we do the show. Yeah. But it's no bad reflection on you, okay, sir?
You're all right.
Listen, if we let them off, I lost my thought. Go ahead, Mr. Parkinson.
Well, again, we're not talking about it. Look, I know it's got you worked up, Bishop. I understand. Listen, because this is really a sensitive situation right here. And we're not talking about letting youth off to go back and continue to commit crimes this heinously. That's not the issue. we have to do something. The city have to do something. The judicial system have to do something to get the attention. Now, do I have the answer to that? No. But we've got to put some things in place to say, okay, we're not going to accept this as a society, as a culture. I mean, even to the degree, because we're the parents of these individuals.
Right.
That's my question. Where are the parents? We haven't heard from the parents. We don't know the backstory of the individuals. And a lot of times, because we're emotional creatures when heinous crimes like this happens, and it's just natural, we don't know where the parents are. We hadn't heard from the parents. We don't know the backstory of these youth. What if, and I'm just going to say what if, because I'm not a hypothetical person. Do we start now finding parents who have children who are out here doing these crimes? Okay. Are these single parent minors, single mothers, single dads? We don't know. We got a lot of single dads now. Are they single mothers? So it's not, even though these 15-year-olds, whatever the youth is that's doing the crimes, are doing it, where are the parents? How do we as a culture help the parents to mainstream, grab a hold of these youth who are running wild in the city of Memphis, Tennessee? Because we're not talking about the parents.
Go ahead. And that's a great point, I think, because I think even in, it's funny, you even hear that question even in the educational system, a lot of teachers ask that question about the parents' involvement because of, the lack of, good grades or whatever from these students or whatever. But I'm curious, kind of what both of y'all have been talking about. Where is the line when it comes to justice and like having some type of care for the people as well? Because I even see some of that, just looking at a couple of comments. Raja here says, if you act as an adult, you should get treated as an adult. From his perspective, and going back a little bit, Bob read this one from Sylvester, says it doesn't matter whether the system rehabilitate them or not, they should never see the light of day again. And you hear a lot of people with these thoughts. So where do you, in your opinion, where is the line? Because then, on the one hand, you have something very heinous that needs to be convicted, that needs to be a message sent. Then on the other hand, you got people that feel some type of compassion to the youth of the people involved in this crime. How much should that even be considered, given how heinous the crime is?
Let me say that I have no legal background. I'm not giving any legal advice. That is a great question, Josh. I wish I had the answer to that. I don't. The crime, we have to look at it from the perspective that the crime has to be based on how the judicial system have their laws in place. And, we are saying charge them as an adult because they did an adult crime. But who says what's murder is murder, period.
Right.
Whether, it's murder. And so because we keep hearing this, adult crimes, when they do adult things, what is robbing? What is manslaughter? What is aggravated robbery? Regardless of what. And if we throw them away and they never see the light of day, how full of our prisons right now? Let's talk about right now. How are we going to sustain the prison system if we're throwing everybody in jail and there's no rehabilitation?
Well, I think
just a thought.
That's up to the people that commit the crime. I mean, that's what the jails are there for. If they listen, and if you go to jail and the jail system is crowded, is overpacked, listen, some people are really not concerned about how the criminals feel in jail. I mean, if they do the crime, then they're asking to go to jail. Okay, so if they get into a jail system and it's overcrowded and they go through some things and they get into fights and all this stuff, that's not the way for a teenager to go, whoever they are, black, white, Hispanic, or whatever the case may be. a lot of people are not concerned about that. They're concerned about getting these people off the streets that are committing these crimes. And if they go to jail, then that's just a part of the punishment. And, hey, some people say, who's concerned about their education? Okay, who's concerned about the victim? Who was concerned? Were these guys really concerned enough when they were riding around following this lady to her own home with guns in their car, intentionally riding up on her and wanting to take what she worked hard for, her own car, her own property, and intentionally get out and wanted to take her car, shoot her in her car, yanked her out on the street, takes off with her car, and then, leaves her there for dead. And the many times that they shot her was unnecessary. I mean, people wonder who's concerned about these kind of people. If they go to jail, they get mixed up in the jail system. Some people say, hey, who cares? I mean, they did the crime. I mean, we want to send a message to those that commit this type of crime so that others see that, hey, they're not taking any crap in the system about these people committing these type of crimes, and this will deter. You're going to need something to deter this type of behavior and this type of crime from people like this committing these type of crimes. If you don't, then this is sending the wrong message.
Bob, if I could jump in there for a second, because I completely hear, along with so many other people, what message do we send? What signal do we send? Here's the sad part of this here. Unfortunately, the country we live in, we're governed by different type of rules and regulations by which we can do certain things for what we call hardened criminals, unlike other foreign countries, because again, they, in some countries, if you're caught stealing, the first time they chop off your hand. Some countries, they cane and whip you. But here in the great US of A, the United States, the most we could do is either put them in prison or give them the death penalty. Mm-hmm. And so we talk about what signal can we send, that there isn't anything above that we can send to. I mean, half these kids that are on the street, again, in this situation, can I just say in this situation, this is hard because it happened to a pastor, a mother, a wife, someone who was in the community, in the midst and stream of a bunch of crimes that's already happened. And we want answers. We want a response. But truthfully, once we put them away, what's next? What's next? Because that's all we can do. If we were to really be honest, we're going to put them in jail. We're going to find them as an adult, and they're going to go to jail until the next one. When you have gang violence, you have gang initiation. Okay, you have youth who are from a single parent household who are struggling to make it. The young men who are, and again, audience that's listening, those that are watching, this is not a slight or a pass off, but they're trying to get money the best way they can, because we don't have a system in place to strongly help single parent mothers. That's another topic within itself. So if we just deal with this situation about these youth who have done this crime, we can lock them up and we're done. They got what they deserve. They took a life and they're gone. They'll never see the light of day. That's not stopping the next set of youth that's going to come by, because if I saw right on your stream, there was another set of killings going on and a ring that involved a 10-year-old.
Yeah, I see that.
So
that's it.
So again, we could talk about putting them in prisons and building more prisons, but building more prisons is not stopping calls. It's not stopping crimes. So what do we do?
Well, what we do
mm-hmm.
is we don't continue to let people off, though. I mean, no
one has said let them off. Nobody is. I'm not even saying that because, again, this is a heinous crime. We're not talking about letting them off. We want to get to a table where we can say, how can we stop this? How can we slow this process?
Just like overseas and other places, when they commit a crime, they do something, they cut their hands off. I guarantee you there's not too many people committing that type of crime when they find out what's going to happen to them if they do something like that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's the point.
But we're living in a democratic country. We're living in
it does not, listen, respectfully.
And our government is not going to pass that law.
Respectfully, I really don't care what kind of country we're living in. It is about doing the right thing, doing the thing that we need to do to cut down on this crime and send a message, that, hey, we're not going to stand for this, and send a message to the other people, to whoever they may be, so that they won't commit this crime and they feel, hey, we're just gonna get a slap on the wrist, man. We go ahead and do this. Then as a teenager, 15, 16-year-old, in about 2 years or a year and a half, man, we'll be back on the street. We'll be back on the streets in a year and a half or 2 years. Do you think after they get out of jail in a year and a half to 2 years, do you think they've learned their lesson?
Well, and just to be clear, and most of y'all know this, Bob's not advocating for cutting hands off.
I'm not advocating for cutting hands off.
Yeah,
I'm just
make sure y'all know that. But
no.
You know what I'm saying? No. But it's like, hey, desperate times. But like on the real, like I think the important thing, at least, and I even agree with this. I'm like, at a certain point, because I think what you're talking about is like the bigger picture, right? Because you look at this one case, let's say they do convict them as adults. Okay, me personally, just talking about me, I ain't got no problem with it because this is especially terrible. Now, I guess what you're saying is future cases. How can we stop this from happening? And that's almost a whole nother thing. But yeah, let's go to the phone lines right now. I got a caller want to call in here.
Call from JGKP Works. To accept, press 1. To send.
All right. GKP, welcome to the show. Good evening on a Sunday.
Y'all already know who it is. Good evening, Bob and Josh.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, man.
Good evening, my brother. If he can hear me or whatever, I'm not sure if he can hear me, but
yes,
if he can, good afternoon.
I guess
he can
hear you.
See my question down. All right. Well, you see my question on the board, and like I kind of came in while y'all hadn't been on it a few minutes, so I didn't get his preface of what his organization may be or anything like that. But just listening to the conversation, I'm assuming that he's, somebody that's for reform and rehabilitation of the young people or whatever. Just listening. But the question that I posed just then was, and you guys talking about these guys, I don't know if he's done the research or if you've done the research, my brother, with this particular case or with this particular young man. But this young man has been reformed, been doing this for a while. Just had got out of a class the day before he went and did what he did based on the juvenile system. So, which, if you know all of this, and with knowing all of that, I'm just asking the question: how do you feel there should be, a pass given to this young man for what he did and the heinous crime that he committed? And would you, my brother, be willing, if they called you right now and said, "Hey, we'll bring these murderers to you, and you reform them and rehabilitate them," would you be willing to do that?
In your home?
Okay. Oh, GK. Oh, he done. Okay. First and foremost, again, I'm not talking about giving anybody a pass. Not in this case. We're not talking about a pass.
Okay.
So that's the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing is, yes, I am aware of the background and this timeline of this young man, his record. Everyone is not retailable. Okay, everybody cannot be rehabilitated, but that's a different subject. I have a different viewpoint on that. In the cases that we can, is what I'm speaking of. This is a different case because this guy has had a record, and again, everything you just said. Now, would I in my home? Absolutely freaking not.
Yet.
But having a system in place, yeah, I'm protecting my family. Listen, I ain't going. I'm just telling you. But I'm all about, but I am all on the real about rehabilitation. Not being afraid to work with them.
And you're talking to one. I'm just like you. That's my position every day is to help the troubled young people and try to reform or rehabilitate these young people that go through things.
Yeah.
Now I'm also one that likes to stand firm and fair, and like you just used those 4-letter words that I love to use. Keep just being real. Okay. And I think, and like I said, maybe you got on the wrong show because this show is kind of based on this particular incident or whatever, and you're having to conversate here, but just me listening at you conversate about this particular incident, not incident, just something that just, murder, period. You know what I'm saying? And then you murder a lady, shoot her 10 times, take the car, the car, and then go tear it up, and then you keep it up. You keep at it. You go try to car jump somebody else.
Yeah.
They did right after that.
I don't get. Trust me, this ain't the first debate on it. I mean, I actually talked about it myself, and I get where we are trying to reach young people. Trust me, I pray for them every day. I'm in the streets trying to get, I'm bringing them from the streets to the sanctuary, basically. And I'm also a realist enough to know that, hey, sometimes you just got to take the pacifier off. And some people won't get it. And those that don't need to be dealt with accordingly.
Right. I totally agree. No, you get no disagreement from me on that. And no, I'm on the right show. Trust me, believe me. We were going to talk about this. The other part of it, with actually me and Bishop Bob had talked about. He saw my stream regarding the young man that was chased by the police, and they chased him to the house. And that was one of the other things we were going to talk about in conjunction to this here. Because again, that's another whole issue itself with that case where the police use excessive force. But again, we have to look at all the variables in that. But I appreciate that, Jay.
No doubt. Appreciate your time, man. And I'll listen. I'll keep listening, but I have my reservations about that one as well. But I'll let you continue from that. I appreciate it, man.
Hey, GKP, that's what it's all about, man.
Yeah.
We'll keep it
real. No doubt, man. Respect. Y'all already know who it is.
All right. Hey, thanks for the call. Mr. Parkinson, as a matter of fact, thanks for reminding me.
Yeah.
Because that situation needs attention as well, man. We're talking to Mr. Parkinson, Finest.
Finest.
Is that okay? Finest.
Yes.
Boss Parkinson, and he's with us today. And we were talking about, too, the other case to where the police officers followed this young black man into his home. This was after he committed a crime, wasn't it?
Well, wasn't it a traffic violation?
It was a traffic violation. He was 12 miles over in a 30-mile zone, and then they have alleged to say that he also ran the stop sign, and so they were attempting to pull him over, and he went to the house, and that's where we get the whole footage of them.
Mr. Parkinson,
I know the debate's coming here too. So
Mr. Parkinson,
I know how I feel.
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. And I'm on your side. Look, when the police are behind you and those lights are on, like you said, we need to teach our young men to pull over, behave, stop, do the right thing. And, but this guy, even though the police officers pulled him over, and then eventually what happens is he takes off. He takes off and run from the police. Okay, now you've given those police officers a reason to chase and run after you.
Absolutely.
Okay, now he runs to his home or wherever he gets there, and then he runs upstairs or wherever, and they go to get him. Okay, and he's still wrestling with the police officers, though.
You know, I must
let me say this.
Finish, yeah.
He's still wrestling with the police officers, though.
Yeah.
Okay, and wrestling with them is going to cause them to wrestle with him to get him under control.
Yeah.
Or do you think the police officers will go in there and say, "Okay, young man, we're here. We're not going to hurt you. Okay, come on out, little dear boy." And then okay, you want to hit us beside the head? Go ahead. Go ahead and struggle. We're gonna let you struggle, and just kick us in the butt.
Hey, just let it all out.
We're just going to take it. No, they're not going to do that, or else they're not police officers. I don't care if they're white police officers. I don't care if they're black. This guy started it all when he ran from the police officers. Now, my point is this. I always say this. If the young man or young men or black young men, women, or whoever they are, had never ran from that traffic officer or that traffic stop, he would not have been in that situation he ended up in. Bloodied face and all of that. Okay? If he had just sat there like we talked about, behaved, not run the stop sign or not run from the police officer. Anybody may commit a traffic violation, but don't run, and don't run and don't fight and put up a fight against it. And so this all led to that.
Right.
If he had not done it in the first place, he would not have been in this position. That's where we have to start right there and tell him, hey, okay, go ahead, Mr. Parker.
Well, when I did the stream, and I don't generally do a lot of political streams and streams like that because those are sensitive situations, simply because, especially for that particular one, again, our fight is still against racial equality, injustice for us as a culture. Many people, now we have this whole big thing because of excessive force. People are like, was it excessive force? Was it too much? It was a traffic ticket, but again, we can't make an excuse for us as a culture for breaking the law to justify what we are subliminally sometimes and unconsciously still fighting racial injustice and use it as an excuse or a platform to say we're still having these black and white issues when this was a law issue.
Right.
Now, here was the thing for me, because again, why did he run? We don't know all of the background of that story yet to the fullest. I don't think we'll know all the story. If he did, we don't know, was 12 miles over. My thing, why didn't you just stop? Now, here's what the news brought out. He was a well-educated young man.
Yeah.
He was in college. He was astute. So this wasn't just some run-of-the-mill, guy, black fella who didn't know anything. He had education. He had sense. And then to take it to his house where his girlfriend is at.
Yeah.
And then we have what everyone in the world have seen on the camera. It's not the issue of excessive force, but it is. But why did he run? And for me, with what I do and get the opportunity to do to work with a lot of black men, we can't run and give the police legal means to do the things that they're doing that comes in the grounds of injustice. that's already a target on our black men's back. If you're not guilty, even if you had some weed in the car, take the ticket, because the minute you go against what the law is, you're giving them justifiable means now to do whatever they want to do.
Exactly.
But then for us as a culture, we're going to say it's a black-white issue instead of saying, no, let's tell our young men stop running.
Yes.
If it's going to be done, let it be done in the public eye that you're not. I mean, these are sensitive cases because of Rodney King, because of all the slayings that has happened.
George Floyd,
George Floyd, all of that. But still, the fact of the matter is, we can't break the law and expect nothing is not going to happen. And then use it for a platform that is really not what it's about.
Right. You know, and it may be even a hard way to say it, but I think y'all are both bringing up the right point. The way I've always felt too, and we've talked about on this show, if the police are going to do the wrong thing, let it be that, and not let it be, you know, that you almost give them an excuse to do something that they may want to do anyway. You know what I mean? By your own actions, right?
Absolutely.
Like you look at that officer, if the officer's racist, if they're whatever, you be as on the line as you could possibly be. Force them to cross that line.
Right.
You know, because and that may be hard to say if the worst happens, or let's say you survive, or everything's fine, you know, and you can at least have a case on camera or something that you didn't do anything to instigate it, no matter how much they try. Because you can even see, we've played videos on this show of several different police stops, some that didn't even end tragically. But you can see, one, the guy in the car was recording the police, which people do have the right to do that. And two, you see some officers will try to instigate you as much as they can to get that black man to respond in the way that they want them to respond. So then they could justify beating the crap out of them, or breaking their face, or doing what they seem like they want to do.
Right.
And you know, when we bring that up, there's a lot of folks, and I get it. You know, look, I'm a black man too. And you wanna fight back. You wanna be like, man, I can't let them do this to me. I got to do something. But you got to be smart at the same time. Don't let the system continue to play us into becoming victims.
And some people
be smarter than the people that want to make you a victim.
Right. And some people say, well, what do we do? Well, they keep beating on us. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. Well, listen, if they do it, at least at that particular moment, they have some type of
force
recording.
Them to cross the line.
Force them to cross the line rather than you giving them a reason to follow you or to chase you. And then now what you've allowed them to do in court is to look real good.
Right.
When they go
I was going to
court.
say that. Absolutely. What you're doing now, what you're doing now, you're giving them a way out.
Yeah.
You're giving them a way out. The minute you run and break, listen, we cannot, as black men, we can't change the law. So again, if that means that if they're gonna beat us, if they're gonna violate us, if they're going to inflict all these injustices, I don't want to say it that way. Let it be done while we're in the right, because we can fight us being in the right than us being in the wrong. Because with the young man with this quote unquote traffic stop, regardless of what, they're gonna push it. The narrative is he was in the wrong, so they got justifiable means, regardless of the fact they did use excessive force. But on the flip side, because I know some police officers, I have some friends, you know, their mindset is, why is he running? So this whole stream that we don't know is they're processing, why did he stop? He saw the lights. Why we're chasing him? Why is he running in the house? We don't want to run a chance of him running in the house, getting a weapon. See, there's so many different narratives to that, that as us on the outside looking in, they got other processes in their minds. And and it wasn't just all white cops in that.
Exactly.
There
So,
was a black-
and I'm
there
gonna
was
say
a black cop there too.
Right.
And that's a great point. Because look, and I'm gonna go to this comment here, and this is definitely gonna spark it up even more. And I figured Jet would do this, but that's why I appreciate people with the different perspectives. Jet
And
says,
let me give the number. If you want to call in, you can call and 901-213-6020 and make your comment. If you want to talk to our guest, you want to talk to us, whatever your question or comment is, we'd be glad to talk with you. Yes, Josh.
Yeah, so Jet says, so they keep killing us, and the onus is on us, the public and children, to remain calm. But the paid trained professionals get to overreact. Please. So he disagreed. Now, before we respond, I'm gonna get this phone call in real quick.
Okay.
Call from JGKP Works. To accept, press 1. To send.
Okay, GKP, welcome back to the show. Good evening on a Sunday.
Go ahead. I can wait for my comment if the brother was speaking and he had something he wanted to finish.
Yeah.
go
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Parkinson.
Okay, and you know, again, here, and I love what Jet, great question, and let me say, yes, sad truth, they do get to overreact because it's the law of the land. It's always been the law of the land. The only defense we have is when we're in the right, and even being in the right, we don't always get the right response. I mean, we're talking about something, and this is one part that I'm passionate. I can kind of hear my wife in my head saying, "Calm down." We're talking about years of 100 years of racial injustice. We're talking about a system that has been in place forever, and it's nationwide when we talk about the police force. So it's not in one specific area. The only fight we have is the one when we're in, and Jet, I really want you to hear me, because believe me, I'm not giving, all cops ain't bad, but there are bad cops.
Right.
But
That's my point. That's my point.
All cops are not bad, but there are bad cops. Heck, all people ain't bad, but there's some bad people. But in this instance, we're talking about injustice for the black culture, but we can't be in the wrong and expect to get right out of it.
Yeah.
And that's the part, Jet, I want us
Good
as
point.
black men
Good
to
point.
teach our young black men.
Right. Absolutely.
We can't be in the wrong.
Right. Okay.
Because the scales are against us when it comes to the court system.
Yep.
Okay. Let's go to the phone lines. Welcome to the show. Your comment.
Oh yeah, and my man, right, Mr. Parkinson is right on time with. You know, when I see my friend Jet make some comments, sometimes I gotta come in and offer my commentary on what he should have meant. I mean, you know, and when you say, and I'll give him this, he said, well, based on what we're saying, the police are criminals. Yeah, some of them are, Jet. That's what the brother just said. I don't care what entity or work you in. There are going to be some good seeds and there are going to be some bad seeds. But that does not give us some righteous path to do wrong and think nothing is supposed to be done about it.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And as I wrote in my comments, what's ignored a lot of times is the events leading up to. Because all we see is these snippets of videos, and we get all caught up and dramified and in shock and awe and hysterical about a minute and 12 seconds of an event that probably carried on for several minutes.
Right.
So the thing is, yes, okay, this kid, if he is so good, and this not like my brother spoke on, this is not your status quo kid per what everybody's saying about it.
Right.
This is not your underprivileged kid. This is not your povertized kid. What is he running for?
Yeah. Right.
Miles over. He can't stop and get his ticket. He's so, listen to me now, and y'all catch him. He's so afraid of the police now. living status, where he is, his upbringing, this and that. And I saw a lot of his people and talk justice for Brandon. I think that's the hashtag or whatever. What justice?
Yeah.
I saw the video. His mother was telling him, Brandon, stop it. He's running all over the house for what?
Yeah.
You want to talk about a trained professional? He's probably glad to come out of there with a bloody face.
Yeah, you're right.
Banks didn't come out with a bloody face. He came out shot.
Yeah.
But why is it like she was saying, justice? What kind of justice is she seeking when this guy committed a traffic violation and then takes off running and then have the cops running after him and he's running? The cops don't know what he's going to get. This guy may be going to get, a machine gun or something.
Well, let me ask you this.
What kind of justice are you talking about here? The guy broke the law.
Let me throw a wrench in it. Yeah. So here's something I was thinking about. Now, to the point that we're all talking about training our young black men to not do this type of thing. Is that why he did it? Like even being intelligent. A lot of trauma going on, especially just being black and seeing all this.
When we get into the talk of training and things like this, I'm a always take it to this. It starts at home.
Yeah.
My children,
right?
As their parent, I don't expect the school teacher to be a bigger inspiration. I don't expect the mayor to be a better inspiration.
Right.
I don't expect the preacher to be a better inspiration. I expect me to be the best inspiration. I'm going to teach my kids respect because it starts at home. If your kids don't respect you, what makes you think they're going to respect anybody else?
Yeah. Now, Jet,
at the house.
Now, Jet makes a statement. He said, Bob, I bet you he gets justice. You watch. What kind? Okay, Jet, what do you mean?
I can tell you. I'm gonna tell you, Bob, what he means, and this is what.
Oh, we got two talking at the same time. I'm sorry, guys. Mr. Parker, GKP, if you wouldn't mind, hold on just a second. Mr. Parker, go ahead.
Here's why I understand what Jet is saying, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. He probably will get justice, meaning because of the lawyers he has in place, because they're pushing the fact that excessive force was done, because we're going to play, okay, I got to say it the truth, we're going to play this type of racial card, black and white card, even though there was a black cop on the scene. He's going to get justice because we're going to use the excessive force. So now here's the thing about this.
Okay.
And here's why I did the stream I did. What is that going to say to the rest of our young black African-American men?
Thank you. Thank you.
Go run, break the law, and we'll fight it later.
Thank you. And then this is why we have young teenagers committing the crime that they do, is because of people like this talking about when kids or when a young black man or whoever commits a crime, runs from the police, and then talks about getting justice. And then this is why we have people out there say, hey, we're going to get justice. We're going to get people behind us and fighting on us because you know how much people hate the police today. And so, hey, what kind of justice can you get out of shooting a lady in her driveway? What kind of justice can you get running from the police when they're running after you and you committed a crime on the street as running a stop sign, a traffic violation, something as simple as that, and you run? What are you running for? What kind of justice is there? And this is where people like, this lady and parents like these are always wanting the NAACP. You know what the NAACP can do for me? Next subject. Okay. Okay.
Whoa.
No. I'm not going to say nothing wrong. But just silence can say everything. Okay. All right. But the NAACP today are irrelevant. I mean, to me, you know, they're trying to find something to stay relevant, and they'll jump in on anything. Man, you could kill a black willow. The NAACP would jump in on and say, "Oh, it's racist. They didn't kill a red spider; they killed a black one."
No, you talking about the spider? Oh man.
Yeah, I'm saying. What my point is, the NAACP are looking for something to do. They need to sit down somewhere, find something that's going to,
something real.
Anyway, I don't know if any of you guys associate with the NAACP or you, whatever the case may be. But hey, I had to tell the truth.
Hey, now I'm gonna say this.
Yeah,
I look, just reading this last comment here. Jed says because without a warrant and because he's not dead and it was on video, the cops broke the law, race or not. Now here's my question. I was gonna ask this too because I saw Jed put this a little earlier that without a warrant we can't bust in his house. I feel like it's a little different if it's an active chase, right?
There you go. Let me,
Thank you.
I rebuttal to Jed in that, and I told him that that's not true.
Yeah.
This was a continuation of the situation that started,
right?
The whatever, 12 miles back or whatever, and then a continuation of something. Then they don't know if this guy running in there to get a weapon. That's what I'm telling you. He ought to be glad that he came out with just a bloody face. Honestly, if we want to talk about how bad the cops are and they looking to kill somebody or this, that, and that. I'm gonna be honest with you, and then you want to talk about paid professionals. That's why I told you some of them criminals. Do you know what a cop salary really is? Half of them, I applaud just even want to be one because they don't even make the money that I would deem they need to be making to be out here risking their life every day and dealing with some of these personalities that they run into.
Right.
And then when they end up in a situation, most of the time they're gonna get the, you know what I'm saying, the bad side of the stick. Even though I'm gonna say this, y'all know there are, I'm gonna say again, there are good people and bad people in any entity, whether it's the corporate world, whether it's the cop world, it don't make a difference.
Right.
There's always somebody out there with a bad mind, and that don't mean they don't get the job. The job ain't seeing everything in their brain. They just seeing everything they went to school to do. But everything, thought that a man or woman thinks, they ain't putting it down on paper.
Yeah.
And they don't show it every time they walk into an interview room. Okay.
Now, and I think the reason I think we're all so passionate about this in particular is we care about real issues of racism that happen. And when you have stuff like this, I feel like it waters down the real stuff that's going on here. You know, there's a lot of real issues with police and black folks. And you already got people that don't care if it's real or not, you know, and they're trying to find reasons to invalidate everything. Right. And when we constantly have these issues that, you know, maybe we are in the wrong and then we want to try to have a fight and have a Reverend Al or Jesse, you know, doing press conferences.
We just want some attention.
Yeah,
we look for this. Social
media
has been the biggest gift and curse of everything.
Yeah,
we seek attention. A lot of us, we get our justice through this blue app and stuff like that. We feel justified because some folks show some fake sympathy and empathy. You know, a bunch of foreigners, half of the people we don't know. They just, you know, people on here just giving opinions basically. And we are too. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying the hype is so unreal when it comes to that because we're looking for love in all the wrong places. We're looking for money for all the wrong cases.
Yeah, let me say this, and the NAACP, should they be teaching or teaching black men and teenagers or whatever the case may be? They say they're across the border, white, black, Hispanic, or whatever the case may be. Should they be out there trying to do something like teaching our young men to do the right thing rather than just waiting for a situation, an incident to where they could jump in and make themselves look relevant and stand up and look all pious and everything and you know, and just try to get involved and make themselves look good. Should they be making themselves look good? If they really want to make themselves look good, get out there and do something. Put your hand to the plow. Start teaching these young men and making something relevant out of these young men, and people will see what you're doing, and this can help change young men in the society and where we're in today, not to make wrong decisions. That's what I'm saying. So,
to be honest, Bob, and I'll go after this statement.
Okay.
Most of our general young people now,
Mhm.
if you deal with young people between 16 and 25 years old,
right,
man, they couldn't even tell you what the acronym of NAACP is.
Yeah.
Because that's how out of touch,
Yeah.
whether it's the NAACP's fault or whether it's the young people's fault for not, knowing what it is. I mean, I just have to keep it real. I'm 48 years old, and in my 48 years, I don't recall too many times I gave 2 cares about whatever the NAACP was doing, because it wasn't nothing that was really going to advance or better me as a man. I didn't look at it as that. And I think most of these young people feel the same way. So that's why I just rely on just straight up knowledge and information from parents direct or from the mentors that's out here. If you're out here, we got to be more direct. We got to be in their face, because just a bunch of propaganda and commercials sometimes and these little town hall meetings they throw up every few years, that ain't enough. All right?
That's a great point, man.
Yeah, Mr. Parkinson and
GKP, I think that was
GKP.
it.
Yeah,
Appreciate the call, man.
Appreciate the call.
All right, no doubt. Y'all already know who it is.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Mr. Parkinson. I've got a point I want to make, and I've got something really I got to really say and talk about. But I gotta take this one commercial break. We want to take this one commercial break, and then I've got something I want to talk about, and we're going to address to you after we come back. Folks, don't miss this one.
It's a good cliffhanger, right?
Yes. Oh, don't miss this one. And we'll be back after this, and our guest, Mr. Finest Parkinson. I think I got it right now.
Yes, got it right.
And we'll be back after this. You're listening to Talk Back Live with Bob
and Josh
on the Talk Back Live network. We'll be back after this. For the best soul food in the Mid-South, it's Shop and Save. $14.99 South 3rd, 901-946-4303. Serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And some of the items on their menu consist of catfish, spaghetti, chicken and dressing, turkey wings, meatloaf, fried chicken, cabbage, yams, greens, salmon croquette, and the list goes on. Some of the best soul food you ever taste in the Mid-South, it is Shop and Save. $14.99 South 3rd. Call them again at 901-946-4303. Been in business since 1991. Shop and Save, $14.99 South 3rd, 901-946-4303 for some of the best soul food you'll ever taste. And welcome back to the show, and Talk Back Live with Bob
and Josh,
and our guest with us today. Thanks for having him with us, Mr. Parkinson. And Mr. Parkinson, welcome back.
Good to be back.
Somebody is saying here, this, I don't know. When are we anyway, let me say this. Let me say this. A statement that has come in here said, and so he says, and stop saying, because are we supposed to stop saying?
Well, I got it right here. I got it on the screen too, so you can see it. And he says, also stop saying that because there's a black cop on the scene, it couldn't have been racism.
What do you say to that? Just because there's a black cop on the scene, we're not supposed to say, okay, a black cop is on the scene, so this is not racism. So we need to stop saying that. Mr. Parker, what do you think about a statement like that?
Here's the reason why we make, well, let me say it this way. When the NAACP is involved, why are they involved? Racial conflict.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
So how can we say racial conflict even though
Is it really, wait. Is it really racial conflict, or they're just trying to be relevant? Okay, but I understand you. But go ahead. We'll
yeah, I mean, here's what we've gotten from the news.
Okay.
Excessive force.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We got the lawyer saying that it was excessive force, but then we're calling in the NAACP, and I see just says civil rights violation.
Yeah.
Okay, so if civil rights are violated, so then we're saying that let me say it for me. I'll take the weight because I'm used to taking the weight.
Okay.
How can we say that if there's a black cop on the scene and he was like, no, we're not okay, when you listen to the tape, to the video, and he's constantly telling him, calm down, stop. But we got to look at the dynamic of what happened. They chased him into the house from running from a traffic stop.
Right.
Period. Now we don't have I would like to see the dash cam footage because we know they had to have dash cam. I've yet to see dash cam footage.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if that was the case, but again, the relevancy is we would not have that had he stopped taking a ticket. And that's my point of view. Okay. You don't have to agree with me. That's fine. We all have our own point of views. My issue is as a black man, as black men, we cannot break the law and then use any type of racial injustice or anything else to justify us breaking the law. Period. Because it's not going to be on our side. And that's where we are now. And this case is thrown into something that it really is not, because a well-educated young black man who was in college didn't take the ticket.
Okay, do you think people would have felt otherwise if this had not been a well-educated black young man that was somebody that was always in trouble, in and out of jail and all this other kind of stuff, and from a poor, whatever background?
Well, of course, we'll have a different narrative completely, Bob, now, because we're saying, oh, he's got a criminal past. Then we'd have heard a different narrative on the whole chase scene.
Okay.
I think the falter was them saying he was this well-educated. They pleading this case of excessive force. I agree. I think it was excessive force. But at the same time, we don't know what happened at the traffic stop. And that's why I keep going back to that. Why did he run? Why did he not take the ticket?
Okay, but what could they not have done to not make it excessive force?
That's a great question. I wish I had I mean, from what I've saw, from what I've looked up and studied, they could have. This is my opinion. They know he was in the house. If they felt threat, they could have called for backup. And they could have, at some way, coerced him out the house, got him to surrender. Okay. But again, if they ran, again, police have a way of running tags. We don't know what they found. We probably will never run because there is a different narrative on the scene right now. Okay. And this is the part we have to look at. We're looking at a different narrative because we don't know if they ran his tag, what they came back with. Did he have a warrant? We don't know. We probably will not know. They're not going to say that because we got to stand against the fact right now that this young man was brutally taken down in his home because he ran from the police. Okay,
you have to have a warrant in order for the police not to chase if you run from the police?
No.
No.
No, you don't. Yeah, we do. We just talked about that. So yeah.
Okay, so what I'm saying is he ran from the police. So if they run for if he run for them, what he has a warrant or not?
Yeah.
He initiated this chase.
That's true.
By
Absolutely.
running. By running is what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Now, real quick.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
So I know we want to have the actual story, and I do have it here just as a refresher for everybody.
Okay.
With the news clip that went on about this, in case some of those are some people asking about what exactly this case is and whatever. I got it right here. So we'll go into that, and then we'll continue the conversation after playing this real quick.
Okay, take a listen and watch this clip, and we'll be back with your comments. Phone lines are open as well, 901-213-6020. Take a listen.
All right, here we go.
Okay, it's coming up.
Yeah, just keep talking for a second.
Okay, he's while he's pulling that up, folks, still making your comments. Again, we appreciate the comments there, and we didn't get a chance to read all the comments, but what do you think about this young man running from the police? Did they use excessive force, or if they did use excessive force, did him running? Did he cause all of this to happen because of him running from them?
Here we go. We got it.
Okay, here we go. We got the clip. Take a listen. Watch this. We'll be back.
The TBI is now investigating a violent arrest in Oakland, Tennessee. We brought you the video first last night at 6. Warning, that video you're about to see again is graphic. Police say Brandon Calloway refused to pull over during a traffic stop. Officers chased him to his family's home where things got worse. WREG's April Thompson spoke with Calloway's father and a law enforcement expert about the harrowing ordeal.
The video shows what happened when Oakland police caught up with Brandon Calloway last Saturday. Officers chasing him into his father's home after they say Brandon refused to stop when they tried to pull him over for speeding. Ed Calloway is Brandon's father.
I just want the truth to come out about exactly what took place, whatever that may be.
Ed describes his son as a good kid who graduated in 2021 from UT Chattanooga. Brandon still lives in Chattanooga and was in town visiting.
Now, never been in trouble a day in his life. Great kid, impeccable character.
Ed Calloway is leaving many of the details of the arrest to his son's attorney.
It's our position that the conduct exhibited is not reflective of what good officer conduct should be about.
We asked retired Shelby County Sheriff's Captain Benny Cobb to take a look at the video and affidavit and give his thoughts.
The young man should have stopped for lawful enforcement. He should have stopped, but he didn't. He continued on. He ran into the house. Now the officers have to do something, but what they did was totally unnecessary.
Cobb has concerns on several levels. First, the stop itself. The police affidavit says Brandon Calloway was initially being stopped for going 32 miles per hour in a 20 mile per hour zone.
They knew that all they had was traffic charges. It's very, very rare to go to this extent on traffic charges only. They knew who he was. They could have went and got a warrant for his arrest.
Another issue for Cobb, what happened when they got to the home? They didn't have a warrant to enter.
They were hell-bent on getting this young man, and to kick somebody's door in for a misdemeanor, to go in and use the kind of aggression that they did. It's not only unethical as far as a law enforcement officer, it's even illegal to do what they did.
And then there is de-escalation. Could that have been an option?
If somebody's barricaded in the house and ran in the house or whatever, law enforcement very rarely run in behind them. They'll set up a perimeter. They will attempt to negotiate with them to get them to come out.
Here at the Oakland Police Department, they are not talking about the arrest or if the officers involved are still on the job, telling us as of yesterday, The case has officially been turned over to the district attorney. What happened is leaving a lot of questions for many, including those in the neighborhood.
I heard the noise and I'm going thinking, oh my God, they're going to really hurt this kid. I told my wife, why didn't he just stay in his car and listen to this cop and be calm? Why did he have to run in his house?
In the end, just realize, something bad happened to a great kid.
April Thompson, WREG News Channel 3.
They're still trying to figure things out, and there is no timeline for how long the TBI's investigation will take.
Okay, even the father said that he should have just stayed in his car.
Well, and the other guy that you heard, the other voice was just real quick. The other guy that you heard was a white neighbor.
Okay.
Next door.
Okay.
That was that guy you heard that say he wish he would stay in the car. It's a white neighbor next
Okay.
door.
Okay. So. All right. Now I agree. Why didn't he just stay in his car? Why didn't he just obey the officers like Benny Cobb had said? We
got that video gave us the answer, Bob. The guy said the sheriff said that he had already had multiple traffic violations.
Right. Okay, but he should not have run.
Well, now the thing, it sounds like he ran because of the multiple traffic. He knew
my point. Exactly. So now here's another narrative now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but let me say this. Let me say, does that give him still a reason to do what he did?
No. But what I'm saying,
that's not what we're saying at all. No,
Okay.
see, because here is the debate. It's not even debate. Here's what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
The excessive force of what the police did is the issue.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me finish this thought completely.
Okay.
We are evading the fact that he's had multiple traffic violations of breaking the law. If it's multiple traffic violations, you done broke the law. And so he ran, breaking the law again to evade more traffic violations. And now it escalated to where we are because he ran home this time, and the police who ran his tags saw he had multiple violations and they wanted to get him.
Right.
So I'm asking y'all this. Well, go ahead. Let me let you
go ahead.
At that point at the door is where decisions should have been made by whoever the officer was in charge, because at that point, it's not worth it for traffic violations when they could have served a warrant. They could have, whatever the case. But this is why we're where we're at, because he ran from multiple traffic violations to the fact that they wanted to get him.
Right.
And that's why I'm curious, because I feel like that's where the line is that gets a little blurred a little bit. And it is interesting. That's why I'm glad I found this. I wanted to see, some things, and even some people in the comments that on both sides, like they see some things they didn't notice before.
Okay, but here's the point that we're getting at, though.
I just wanted to finish.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I get your point, but because even it was real interesting seeing Benny Cobb, was a retired officer. He did on both sides. It was an interesting analysis he did. He said, one, the guy was wrong for running because it escalated the situation. And then he went and said the cops were wrong for going in the house and they're using the force that they used, even though it was escalated because of the action of the black man. Here's the point. I think it was Bob going to say, if you listen to what I'm saying,
right, is
we always said one action starts another.
Right.
Absolutely.
So don't do one, the other doesn't happen. Now, this doesn't mean what the officers did was right and okay, because even looking at the video, to be perfectly honest, you running and throwing he throwing his nightstick in the front door. It wasn't like you try to, usually when you chase somebody, you're trying to grab him.
Right.
He's throwing he ain't trying to grab him. He's trying to nightstick him before he grabs him. I feel it weird now, but again,
but they're saying we need this guy. He's committed several crimes. He's doing it again. We got to get him.
He's a heinous traffic offender,
right?
But look, I understand.
But what else will he do?
Yeah,
and not just this guy, but what else will anybody else do? And what extent they may go to this one person may not have gone to that extent, but what if that was somebody else that may have went to another extent? What if he would have had weapons upstairs or wherever in his house and start firing back at the police and cause it to be a more deadly situation than what they prevented it to be?
And I think it's a good point you brought up, because a lot of people don't look at the police's perspective. I think even Mr. Parkinson brought up police think differently. Nobody really looks at that side of it because you're kind of on edge all the time. If you're a police officer, you don't know what this guy's mindset is. You don't know if he's a college student or not. You don't know what his background is.
Right.
You just know he's running, and if they're off balance enough to run, or off balance enough in their mind to grab a gun and they shoot back. So I think that's always something to consider too. Now, let
me say this. Jet said, "Okay, traffic violation." Shaking my head. Oh, come on, Jet, would you please? Okay, for a traffic. Okay, so police are chasing this guy because of a traffic violation. It doesn't matter. The guy ran from the police. It doesn't matter whether it was a traffic violation. Stop. This is what Mr. Parkinson, I think he's trying to tell us too. Teaching our young men is not the point. It was just a traffic violation. Yeah. It's to the point that we have to teach our young men not to run from the police. Teach them what is the proper protocol that they should do in case they come up on a situation like this, and what should they do. We got to teach them what to do, what not to do, so that they don't end up in situations like this. Whatever you think and however you look at it, all of this, whether the cops are right, you feel, or whether the cops were wrong, whatever you feel, all of this would not have taken place if this young black man had known what to do, or somebody would have been teaching the black men, young black teenagers, whatever, what to do and what not to do in situations like this. And this is where we need to head. As far as just shaking my because of the traffic. No, we need to just teach our people what to do and what not to do, instead of saying, well, it was just a traffic ticket. If you keep saying something like that, all you're telling other black men, if you just do something like a traffic ticket, we got your back. You can run if you want to. We got your back. You can pull a gun on the police. We got your back. It's just stuff like that, it's just, I don't know. Well, now, okay, Mr. Parkinson, what we're talking about is teaching our young people what to do and what not to do. And this is the most important thing that we've got to teach them, because if they don't do it, it's going to continue to lead to something like this. And we've got to stop it.
And your point about it, you said it could have ended up worse.
It could have ended up worse.
Now, Jet says, we're going to Jet again, and I'm going to play a certain part of this clip again, but Jet says George Floyd should have ran. Now, I feel like that could spark a whole nother debate too. But I don't know. Yeah. But and Stanley Fenster.
So, okay, Jet is just saying every black kid, every black person that stopped by the police, run. If you're black, you stop by the police, run. We can't trust them.
I honestly feel that sets a bad precedent. It really.
Yeah, it really does.
Now I'm gonna play one more part again.
Okay.
Because this I think the Benny Cobb part was some pretty good information. Now listen to this again. And this is from retired law enforcement officer's perspective.
Okay. Let's take a look.
Stopped. Stopped.
And give his thoughts.
The young man should have stopped for lawful enforcement. He should have stopped, but he didn't. He continued on. He ran into the house. Now the officers have to do something, but what they did was totally unnecessary.
Cobb has concerns on several levels. First, the stop itself. The police affidavit says Brandon Calloway was initially being stopped for going 32 miles per hour in a 20 mile per hour zone.
They knew that all they had was traffic charges. It's very, very rare to go to this extent on traffic charges only. They knew who he was. They could have went and got a warrant for his arrest.
Another issue for Cobb, what happened when they got to the home? they didn't have a warrant to enter.
They were hell bent on getting this young man, and to kick somebody's door in for a misdemeanor, to go in and use the kind of aggression that they did. It's not only unethical as far as a law enforcement officer, it's even illegal to do what they did.
And then there is...
I disagree with him. I disagree. If I respectfully and I respect him as a retired police officer. Okay, but I disagree with him as far as saying that this kid initiated this whole thing. If you don't see, because this guy initiated it, it was already in force. The whole thing was already in force. And so these officers, this guy took them to his house. He took them to his house. And so they were already in force. And the chase was already in charge. This was a chase. This wasn't police putting us, okay, get a warrant for his arrest and go out and get it. No. This kid brought these police officers to his house. And so what he did by running from them, this was a chase, and all they did was followed him. And that's the way I feel on this.
You know what?
I don't agree with.
Here's my question. I'm curious, Mr. Parkinson thinks is, I think let's just say, even if the cops are wrong in this situation, I think it still doesn't invalidate your point in running.
Right.
Because even what we were talking about earlier, whether the cops are right or wrong and how they do it, you have to conduct yourself in the right way to make sure you're in the right way, whether they're wrong or not. You know what I'm saying? And then you give yourself a case.
Yeah.
Regardless. Now, to me, I think this is such a weird situation because I almost feel like he still kind of has a case. Depending on how the lawyers do it.
Well, he does. He does, Josh. He has a case on the pretense of the excessive force. And again, this is why I said I understand what Jed said, that he will probably get justice. He's getting justice on the fact that even what the retired officer said is that they went to the extreme. But it does not null and void the fact that the young man broke the law. And we got to be careful with this going forward, that we don't create a narrative, just as Bob said, hey, police chase you, run, go to the house.
Yeah.
My whole point is, young men, black men, if you don't have anything to hide, let me say that again. If you don't have anything to hide, don't run. Because when you run, you're giving them legitimate reason to do whatever.
And Mr. Parkinson, even if they did have something to hide and they run, it's gonna create the same situation.
It's not going to end up good either way.
It's not going to end up good either way.
Yeah.
And I remember we talked about
wrong is wrong.
Yeah, about real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
I remember we talked several weeks back about the Rayford's Hot Wings situation in Memphis, where the guy was in there talking to the owner. The police come in and it was caught on video. A lot of people jumped on the assumption that they unnecessarily beat this guy, which they really didn't beat him. The guy was trying to run. He said, hey, man, I ain't do nothing, man. And they kind of tackled him and they got kind of wild in there. Then they come to find out the reason he was in there was because he had stole his girlfriend's car after beating her. And he was in there, and the reason the police were on alert was because he had a violent history. But most people didn't know all that. The video went viral based on the fact MPD shouldn't have done all this because they're racially beating up this black guy. Even the owner of Rayford's said, man, they ain't have to do their brother like that. He's a good dude. I was talking with him for 20 minutes. He seemed like a good man, but he didn't know nothing about him abusing his girlfriend or stealing the car and wrecking it and going to Rayford's right after.
Yeah.
In order to hide, so
right. Yeah, and see, here's the thing for me, Josh, is that I think we stuff like this here really sets us back as a culture because we're avoiding issues that we need to address within our culture.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to the law, especially when it comes to equality and justice for us as a culture. When stuff like this happen because someone has done wrong, so now we're not even looking at what he's done because now we're saying, well, he got beat up, but he got beat up. Why? Because he's done wrong. So what are we teaching our youth? Listen, you got to do better. There's many programs in Memphis, Tennessee, pastors I know doing great programs with youth, but we've got to do more public service announcements out there to help our youth get on those who we can. Let me say it that way. We can't save everybody. Those who we can. And the reason why this touched me so is because even his dad said, "Oh, my son's a great guy. He's a good. He wasn't in trouble." And I don't want to belittle that, but he still had all these violations, traffic violations.
Yeah.
So and we all come short. The Bible says we all come short. We all miss. We all make mistakes.
Yes, absolutely. And I feel
that.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel the same way too, because I saw it, man, it hurt my heart to see this. And man, not that the guy did something wrong. We need to stop that too. It hurts my heart to see that. Even more, it hurt my heart to see this guy running and then end up in the situation that he ended up in. Man, that just said, oh man, that just tore me apart. Okay, Mr. Parkinson, man, I know we got to let you go, but listen, what do we do, man? What is one of the things we could do? What are the things, real quick, that we could do to train our young men? What do we need to tell them, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I got to go to an old cliche. It takes a village. It takes a village. I believe my new friend Jay Worth, GKP, it's going to take people like GKP, myself. There's a institution out there called the Husband Institute, who are helping young men. Ricky Floyd, come up out of that ministry. Also, we have a mutual friend, Bishop Charlie Caswell. There are programs and people out there who are addressing the youth. We've got to put that on a mainstream platform that's getting more footage than what's happening with the crimes. So people are aware that there are programs for single moms, single dads who have young black men where they can get training, mentorship, and guidance. And people who go into, here's the underlying thing for me, who's going to really love them regardless of their issues. Because if we don't start loving our black boys, they're going to keep going to the streets who's showing them a whole complete twisted kind of love.
Yeah.
But we got to have real black men who are going to love these black boys and say, listen, and be honest and transparent. I'm not perfect. I sold drugs. I grew up in the streets of Chicago. I've been in gunfights. I've almost killed people. I say almost. I'm going to leave that right there. But so I can't escape that. It's just the grace of God that I'm not on the newsreel. But we've got to make those platforms mainstream to supersede what the news is putting out there. So our communities are aware there are organizations that are really out there that are going to help our young black men.
Yeah,
that's great. I remember the times we've, to your point about we've had Apostle Floyd on several times, talk about the Husband Institute, and I remember they had that movie a while back about it, and seeing that, I remember me and Bob both saw it. I'm like, wow, this, out of more people I know, it could bring a tear to the eye, man, to see the stuff that's going on.
Absolutely.
And even that, you wish the city would get behind more stuff like that.
Absolutely.
As well. Instead of, some people feel that even stealing ideas, trying to do it their own way. And, It's a whole thing. But it's now I see this comment. I'll read real quick.
Yeah.
Sylvester Prince said, "This is why so many people are leaving Memphis, because people don't feel safe, because people promote crime."
Wow.
So that's interesting as well. So
is this promoting crime, Mr. Parkinson?
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, this is promoting crime, but we've got to promote the answer. That's why I'm saying we got to promote the solution more than we are the crimes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the crime is the crime. We can't avoid that, but we're not doing a good job as a community promoting the solution. And there's where I believe a lot of the issue lies. Just like Josh said, why is the city not getting behind the Husband Institute with all that it's done? Why is the city not getting behind people like Pastor Myron Thomas and Innovation Church? I mean, why can we not get Mayor Jim Strickland and them to do more in that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Okay. All right.
And that could be another show, to be honest.
Yes. All over again. Finis Parkinson, Finis Boss.
Finest.
You know, I'm gonna.
That's a cool name. I was thinking about that because I would say, man, I'm the finest.
Yeah, you know what? I was wondering. Me and Josh was talking. Is that really his real name?
That is my real birth name. It's on my certificate. I'm actually the third.
There it is.
All right. Hey, thanks for joining us, man. Great stuff, and we appreciate you for your comments and being real and talking to us today. And hopefully, we don't have to talk about this too much, but it needs to be talked about.
Yeah,
and it's
important conversation.
And some person even said, well, Memphis is not the only place crime is happening, but Memphis is one of those places. Well,
that's where we're at right now.
That's where we live.
Yeah.
We have to talk about it. We can't talk about it in Jonesboro, Arkansas. We live in Memphis, Tennessee. As a matter of fact, Memphis for the past few years has been one of the top ranked cities in the country in crime. And Memphis most of the time has been number one.
Yeah. And I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at Jet's comment.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jet.
He said that's all he agreed with him on is that his name is cool. So
that's all I need. That's good enough.
That's good enough. Hey, Finest.
Yeah.
Boss Parkinson, thanks for calling us, man. Thanks for appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you.
Okay. Be blessed. All right, Josh. That's going to do it for us today. And
another great one, man.
Sylvester said crime is everywhere, but Memphis is top. Yeah, like I was saying. Let me see if I can get it back down.
I got it on the screen.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, crime is everywhere, but Memphis is the top in the U.S., and it's a smaller city.
Yeah. There you go. All right. Hey, thanks for joining us, all of you that are watching tonight. And thanks for your comments and your phone calls and our guest, Finest Boss Parkinson, for being with us. And hey, tune in again. We'll be back with another great show, and we'll let you know ahead of time when we'll be here, especially next Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But before the end, we'll let you know when we'll be back on, and we'll have another great topic to talk about, and maybe special guests as well. If we don't, we've got something we can talk about.
Oh, yeah.
All right, and hey, y'all have a good and blessed evening tonight.
We'll see you.
And people are still making comments at each other on here.
And
okay,
we appreciate you.
Yeah. All right, and we'll appreciate you, and we'll see you again next time for another edition of Talk Back Live with Bob and Josh. Have a blessed and wonderful evening, everybody. Is that a phone call?
Look like a dramatic last phone call here.
Okay, wow. What in the world's going on here with a phone call?
I bet I know who it is.
Okay.
Call from JGKP Worths.
Okay. Should we take this phone call from people that are being rude when you want to leave the air? GKP, welcome to the show. Good evening on a Sunday.
We had the music playing and everything.
Okay, what's up?
Y'all already know who it is.
Would you
y'all
get on?
failed to thank me for being on the show.
Oh, would you?
Don't just think finish. Okay.
Finest, man. Finest. Yeah.
Oh, he's the finest.
Well,
Okay.
I
Respect Mr. Parkinson, but don't forget Mr. GKP is a mainstay here.
Well, okay. Well, we'll do that whenever we decide to invite you on the show.
Yeah, it's your time is coming. You know, we
I don't know why that hasn't been. I might take my prices up by the time y'all call me.
Okay, all right, man. Would you stop it? We're trying to go. We're trying to get to the house. I mean, well, anyway, we're already.
Yeah, see,
you at the house, Bob.
Would you? Okay. Would you?
You're not about to do nothing but get up and eat your chicken, man.
See, that's what we talking about in the black community right here. This is the problem. We always eating chicken and talking about it.
Hey man, you know it. If it ain't, I got something in there myself. You know how it goes down, man.
I know how you do, man. But
yeah, I know that. Was at churches every week or Popeye?
But see, you
hold on, man. Now you blackballing it. Now you saying a black brother can't afford no more than a 3 for 3 at churches. Yes, I picked up 2 of them. Okay,
there you go. I didn't lie. So there it is.
Well, maybe
shout out to their honey butter biscuits. I ain't got no problem.
Maybe
it's close to the church, man. It was close to the church.
Hey.
I had an evening. My dance manager had a program this afternoon. It was the closest thing. I stopped and got me 2 3 for 3. Okay.
Well, maybe we'll do a show on which place around town one of these days that has the best chicken and biscuits.
Yeah,
okay?
we'll do that.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that. Anyway,
if you call me, listen to me. Whoa. If you call me about being a guest to talk about some chicken, I'm refusing right now. Okay? Hey, y'all have a good night, man.
All right, GKP.
All right, man.
Thanks,
Enjoy the 3 for 3, man.
Oh, all right. Now we can get out of here.
I think now we can go. We're trying to.
All right. Let's start.
Look, this is like when you're trying to lead church and folks won't let you go. They keep talking to you. You know what I'm saying?
Let's start the music all over again. Here we go. Folks, have a good evening, a blessed evening, and we'll see you again next time. Here we go. For the best soul food in the Mid-South, it's Shop and Save. 1499 South 3rd, 901-946-4303. Serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And some of the items on their menu consist of catfish, spaghetti, chicken and dressing, turkey wings, meatloaf, fried chicken, cabbage, yams, greens, salmon croquette, and the list goes on. Some of the best soul food you ever taste in the Mid-South, it is Shop and Save. 1499 South 3rd. Call them again at 901-946-4303. Been in business since 1991. Shop and Save. 1499 South 3rd, 901-946-4303 for some of the best soul food you'll ever taste.
This is Sergeant Chris Richardson with the Tennessee Highway Patrol. Pedestrian safety is a two-way street. Both drivers and walkers need to do their part to keep roads safe. When you're walking, remember, the drivers may not always see you, so remember to use these tips to continue to walk safely. Wear bright clothes, always use crosswalks, and obey signs. Lights and reflectors should be used. And finally, keep alert and do not walk distracted. This message brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Patrol.
I watch y'all coming here for years, because you shot somebody. Now your life is shot. You gonna pick that phone up one day, and that girl gonna be done dumped you and raise your child with another man. Or maybe your mama or your grandmama dies. Because ain't nothing you can do about it. You got 15 to 20 years, state or fed time. Real talk. Don't lose your head, use your head, man. Gun crime, max time.